to Occultists Anonymous and our Into the West Mage Chronicle. Everybody died. Welcome to Craig, Theodosia trying to resurrect them all. If you're confused, just watch the last episode. But before we get to that, shout outs to our supporters, followers, subscribers, everybody who, tags along with us. We greatly appreciate it. And a special shout out to our patrons, 1D4Con James, Adele, Aylis, Aiden, Alexander, Alstrit, Bernie, Chris, Doc, Emil, Ethan, Jeff, George, I finally finished my PhD, Camo, Cat Feathers, Klaus, Michael, Milo V3, Moku, Mozart D Minor, Nexus, Nick, Other Guy, Perry, Foog, Polka Dot Hubris, Porter, Puppeteer, Riafio, Shaxara, Starfish, Terran, Thomas, Verhex, Vincent, Vortex, and Zoltan. Thank you all so much for your support. No, actually, when we last left the Cabal, you guys had found that there was a big spooky spirit in the sky. Well, we already knew about that. And then found a giant radar dish funnel thing that was supposed to catch the great big spirit in the sky and stuff it into somebody, which you Legba was like, no, I'm putting a ban on that, or excuse me, a quarantine. So that just wasn't accessible, at least for the immediate moment. Petrichor escorted said members of the Seer, the Catholic contingent, but it's the Seers, you guys know that at this point, or strongly suspect, and having a little conversation about boundaries, and Max is about to, I feel like, is a step away from just laying the smack down on people for misbehaving, and Catherine has just kind of really flexed her fate muscles and delved into a really gnarly mystery, and that is where we pick up with the two of you. Technically Max is there, but since Ash isn't here, we'll just kind of sidestep her just a little bit as Catherine and Theo, I guess, walk home, because Catherine is drained. You guys did a lot to pump willpower into her to help her keep that up, channeling mana into her to make sure she had the mana to really push through the focused mage site, to delve into what is a gnarly spell. You all realizing that some of this arcana is beyond the limits of what you all have seen and done with 5 dots. So something like 6 or 7 or 8 dots, things that, for some mages are purely hypothetical and theoretical. Meanwhile, you guys have met Archmage Rilla, who is more than happy to explain the sheer powers at her beck and call. And so you guys were like, okay, we have an idea of what could have caused this, and maybe we are punching out of our league. And poor Catherine here has been a mage for a whole month. And so she is rattled because she never met Archmage Rilla. So this was her first real taste of what is going on here. Oh, though I guess technically she did see Rilla and Gisela that one time, yes, in her awakening. Right? So yeah, she's like, oh, okay, a lot is going on. Some of this stuff makes sense to her. Yeah, so like I said, I imagine you guys are headed back down towards Chateau de Stokes. I was trying to remember the last name. But if you have other plans, let me know.
If memory serves, she hasn't yet established like a sanctum or domain.
No, at this point, she hasn't even made a soulstone.
So that would be a You pushed yourself pretty hard tonight. I'm very proud of you. And I know we've talked about this before, but maybe it's time to get serious about setting up a sanctum for you.
As she is leaning on you as you lean, air quote, on your
Mhm.
cane, which you don't need, but it helps the illusion. I think she's leaning on you and holding your lantern for you. So you've got
Yes.
cane in one hand, her on the
Mhm, I'm
other.
carrying her on the other,
Yep.
yeah.
And she kind of leans in, and there's definitely, you say you're proud of her, and she snuggles in just a little bit closer. She's like, I mean, would it help me right now?
It would help you do things beyond your normal limits when you're in your sanctum. More specifically, if you were to build a domain, for example, which is a different conversation, but building a sanctum is kind of the first step. It's a safe place for you to do your things. I know this is all kind of new and you've chosen to share a lot of it with me, but there might come a time when there's something that you want to look at or do that's just your thing. And that's okay. It's a very mage thing to do.
That Theodosia has to quickly say, "It's okay to do this because I've been doing this entire time, honey."
Mhm. And you should have a place to do that.
She nods her head, and she's like, "I understand that intellectually, mentally. I don't have a place that would be right to do that. Like your laboratory under the earth feels right for what you do, and Legbuzz hidden away alcoves in the cave seems right for that, and his connections to everywhere, in a warren and a labyrinth. I get that, but for me, just nothing has clicked. I've looked.
What about like a treehouse or like a little make a like a wooden hut in the woods somewhere?
She gives you like this look that says, "Yeah, Baba Yaga."
I'm
Right,
speaking through my own lens, of course, but
right. Um,
um, my understanding of acanthus is there's a little more whimsy associated with acanthus.
this is where Craig starts bleeding through,
Yes.
but she nods and she's like, "Yeah, I want I want a place where s- tell stories and think of stories and see where things are going and the next page turn." But I guess, and she kind of grins and she looks over. You could just make a place, couldn't you?
I was thinking, what if we made a place attached to the schoolhouse?
Yes, there's the silence as you guys walk, little crunch of gravel under the feet, just
And
dirt.
there's
I
like the
guess it's not
verbal air quotes attached
right.
to.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And she's nodding her head, and she's like, I feel like I need to ask Helena, Matt, Helena, and Jules if I can do that, but that does seem kind of right. Or and she gets this. There's this little sly smile that she gets, and she's like, "Okay, there is one place, but I don't know if I really should." And she kind of looks over at you, and she's like, "The Enrights have a library."
Oh, it's it's a bad idea, but I really like it.
I knew you would. And Catherine's like, so I don't. They're sleepers. He's a sleeper, so I know I shouldn't, and I know it would be dangerous to them and to anything I want to do there. But maybe, maybe make a library. And then she perks up. She's like, I mean, you have a laboratory. maybe we just make a library next to it or above it. Because
Sure.
she looks out to, because you guys at this point, if I remember correctly, you guys aren't even like growing anything really in your land.
No, yeah, we're growing flax.
Oh, okay, okay, that's right. So she's like, yeah, I could put a shed out there, and maybe between you and Legba, I can put a little library, and everybody could use it, because I know there's, I mean, Jules has a bunch of books that are probably older than all of us combined, and that would be maybe a safe place to put it. And she's really showing like the Mysterium vibes that she probably actually has.
Hmm.
And she's like, yeah, so maybe that place where I can, think of the story of the future.
That sounds great.
Mm,
Um,
good.
your place. So I don't. It's important that it be yours. But if there's anything that I can do to help, I would be more than willing to do whatever. But
I Drew just remembered. Actually, you guys have the Hallow that she has access to. That's
mhm.
not a far walk for you. I mean, it's across the bridge and then out of town. But didn't you set up shelves in there?
Yeah, I'd put like places to store water, basically,
Mm-hmm.
right? For to collect tasks.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's actually what she says instead of the field, because then it's separate from yours, right?
Mhm.
And it's a place that you guys already have. Um, so yeah, I think that actually maybe what she says. She's like, yeah, could I, put a library off of the Hallow?
So that Hollow is a shared resource. So we should check with everyone else to make sure they're okay with it. But I don't anticipate any problems with that.
Sure. You're the first member of the coven I'm asking.
Then you have my acceptance of the idea. Yes.
And yeah, she's again, some of that like the whimsy, as you put it. For me, I tend to think of more mischievous and
Sure.
manipulative, but yeah, where she's like, yeah, I can see how this would be useful. And you know, again, it would be a place for her that isn't directly tied to you. Because not that I feel that you two have had friction, but I think both of you have been that like, hey, you can have your space. It's okay. Right. And she's like, yeah, this would be a good thing. That way it's not off of the lab. It's not something that she has to ask you to get access to, stuff like that.
Mhm.
She's like, so yeah, you guys kind of go back and forth as you walk down, probably providing some of the matter manipulation you might have to do for it, or um, things like that. As kind of nonchalantly walk through Purgatory Bluff, talking about high arcane concepts in
Just a couple
hushed
ladies and a
voices.
blue lantern and
Yep, yep. Like anybody else looks over and here's this crone walking this young woman, down. It's like, what? Nope, nope. Blue lamp. Just you didn't see nothing. Turn the other way. It's fine. And You guys make it back home. She is absolutely zonked. She really has been leaning on you all the way there, and she kind of sits back, climbs into bed, changes, washes up a little bit, stuff like that, and like is having very much the like uh kid after a sports game, like I am exhausted, I'm
but
pleased
also
with what I
euphoric.
did, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And you can see like she's got that, the light in her eyes of she has seen all sorts of new arcane things that she's never experienced before. She's just drinking in the arcane XP, and thinking of how to apply it and all these new things. Um,
And I think that's where Theo gets the inspiration for making a present.
oh, okay. So this isn't something you've already been working on.
No,
Okay.
her performance tonight, like she was definitely punching way above her weight with support and stuff like that, but
Mhm.
she really
Yeah.
unraveled a major mystery.
Right, and she stepped up. The coven needed an acanthus, and the acanthus
Hmm.
stepped up. Yeah, I like that. So you give her, get her a glass of water, kiss on the
Hmm.
head, tuck her in close, and I need to go to the lab, kind of moment.
Yep.
Okay, good stuff.
Check
Uh,
in, like check in Valoja,
mhm. Who is
that kind of thing.
still up? Well, unless I don't think you would have
Oh, is she
forbidden
still
her.
staying?
She's
Okay,
up at the
yeah.
tent, right? That's where
Mhm.
everybody is. It's the big
Oh, right, yeah,
social
yeah, yeah.
event,
Okay.
right? Her and that boy. Um, yeah. So yeah, they'll be up there for, well, because at this point the sun. I think I had described it. The sun had set, but we
Yeah, it
still
was
had
fully
light in
dark.
the. In Yeah, now it
Mhm.
is fully dark. Yeah, so they'll probably be headed. He should be walking her home soon. Uh, but under the cover of dark, with deathly shadows, delve, no, open the way into your laboratory, sealing it behind you. How do you feel, by the way, like with the idea that you're actually locked in here?
Great. Buried in the earth, like that's no big deal for her.
Right. Well, because I'm thinking of like, well, hmm.
Easy enough for her to set up some airflow. Like,
Yeah, but I was thinking of alchemist touch and being like, oh yeah, you're immune to like the deleterious effects of certain matters. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna hit all the air in here, and I can just breathe it now.
mhm.
Yeah. Regardless, we know that this is a cozy little place, but I just realized, me being claustrophobic, I'm like, oh right, you totally seal yourself in here, don't you? Yes.
Yes.
Even in my necromancer setups, I always have the big open mausoleum doors.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, remember when Theo was like rampant? She like literally buried herself.
Yep. No, I definitely remember. I had
Mhm.
the heebie-jeebies. No, I'm good. You're good. I like that. So yeah, come down to the lab where I imagine you actually probably have some of the supplies already, things that you've been making. Um, and oh my gosh, what is the name of your little golem?
Oh, Besnick.
Besnick, of course. Just
Hmm.
kind of, you know, you can't help it. He can't help it, but he's got the Moro's Necromancer Decrepitude Golem. And he's on the skinny side, if I remember correctly. He's kind of scarecrowy, or.
More like a cast iron stove, potbelly
That's
kind
right.
of
Right.
built.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And kind of rises up and kind of just clanks over and just kind of hovers nearby. Doesn't need to talk. Is not, he doesn't have the mind for intelligence or anything like that, but it's like, the master is here.
Mhm.
And just standing on
Yeah, he
hand.
doesn't. He's not verbal, definitely, but
Mhm.
he's good enough to do simple tasks and
Correct. Hold this
hold this here
here.
while I hammer it, put that in the fire, that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
What's who's it from, Iron Man? Dummy.
Yes.
Yes. But just kind of comes over. I imagine, do you, because you mentioned it now, does he actually have a potbelly stove as like a core?
Well, he's made out of like raw iron,
Mm-hmm.
so he's got that sort of bulky, bulbous kind of
Okay, but
build
not
to him.
actually okay.
Not an
Because
actual potbellied
I
stove,
went
no.
straight into like Disney character of just like a face made of the product. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and so what are you putting together there?
We're gonna put together an athami, magical tool for Catherine, and my plan is to have a lunargent blade and a perfected bone grip and a thaumium pommel ring, which will take a little bit of time. I figure 40 days or so,
Yeah.
plus actual crafting.
Yeah. Actually, while we're talking about it, because what is the durability? It's okay, folks. Don't worry about that. For them, the cameras just blinked out of existence for a second. Um, what is the durability of metal? Yeah, steel or iron, stone, aluminum. Yeah, I feel like silver and gold are probably closer to aluminum than steel in terms of how
But
durable they
this
are.
would be perfected silver, so it's a lot stronger.
Correct. Once you've made it, but the number of
Mhm.
passes is based off of base
Oh, right,
durability.
right.
Right. So yeah, okay, yeah. So I think we're right there at 40. Because it's 10 times durability. So 40 passes. No. Um you came up with 40 days. I don't think it's even gonna be that long.
Okay.
Because it's 10 passes a day, and so it's durability. So yeah, so 3 days of passes per size, and I mean you're talking about handfuls of stuff, so it's
Yeah, it's
nothing.
usually just a dagger, right? Mhm.
Yep. So it's going to be 3 days max.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, that's much faster than I thought it would be.
yeah, because it's 10 passes per durability multiplied by size, small thing, so it's size 1. So needs 30 passes if it's steel. And then you only have to rest a day for every 10 passes.
Mhm.
So 3 actual days of work with a day in between. So you're done on the 5th day.
So that would give me the materials. I could
Mm-hmm.
shape them can I shape them beforehand or should I
Mm-hmm.
shape them after? Okay.
As long as but they don't become perfected if they're together with something. So yeah, you would have your little ingots,
Mhm.
and then well, where do you source the bone?
Well, the bone would be I mean, there's a whole graveyard full of bones.
So that's what I'm asking. Are we digging up a human bone, or I mean, you've
I
got the cattle out there that are slaughtered occasionally. People got chicken bones.
I feel for Theo that it being a human bone would be important.
So the second question is, did you ask the ghost for permission?
If there's a ghost associated with that body, sure. If not, then I would definitely ask the guardian geist
Okay, but the actual
as a
mundane sleeper
proxy.
folks, nah.
No, this
Okay.
is that. I mean, the person that they care about isn't there anymore.
hmm
This is just material for from Theo's eyes,
Yeah.
and it's
No.
easy enough for her to just like extrude a bone up through the ground without having to dig the whole grave up, right?
Yep, yep. Just like,
Mhm.
okay, Bone, I'm gonna give you just a little bit of animation, a little.
Mhm.
Just come up here, and just this little femur just kind of wiggles in a very upsetting way. For
Yes.
Moros, you're like, yeah, this is normal. Yep, come here, and as it crawls onto your hand.
Like, I imagine her like in her Barbasera with the lantern and just holding out a hand, and a bone sort of unearths itself. And yeah,
Yep. And new folklore and mythology just spawn as some little kid looks over sneaking out at night when he shouldn't have been. Yep. Okay, cool. So yeah, a human femur, I feel it feels like the right size for a handle.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, I love it. And then yeah, other materials that I'm just going to assume you probably already had,
Hmm.
just because.
And easy enough to source from traders and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
She might have to reshape it into an ingot.
which is a snap of the finger for you.
And jewels is a good source for mercury and things like that.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, Jules, of course, having had this very detailed like warning list that he was prepared to give you, and then looks at you and is like, "Oh, right, yeah, you could probably drink this and just not have. You would just pass it."
Hmm.
It'd be like, whatever. Let me just throw some alchemist touch on myself and just not worry about it. So yeah, some little bit of mercury that you'll need to make the thaumium. And then yeah, so over the next couple days you'll be working on that.
So I
uh
was thinking that I would need to do one item, like one type of material at a time, but I guess that's not true.
Similar
I can just
to.
put, yeah, whatever I can just hold in my hand, I can do the pass through, even if it's three different types of materials, right?
Yep.
Okay.
To give a throwback to the Rookery, which folks at home, if you haven't seen the Rookery yet, go watch the Rookery. It's pretty good. Actually, hang on. Don't know how well that shows up on camera, but yeah, I'm wearing my Rookery shirt today. But yeah, similar to what Atratus did, which was just here's a collection of stuff on the ground, and I'm going to send all of that into Twilight and then back, and that's how she did her passes. And just because the only restriction per the book is, oh well, it just needs to be a solid thing, and it needs to be a pure substance. So you couldn't have some weird alloys of stuff, which into the West here, we don't even really need to worry about that. If somebody's selling iron, it's iron,
But like Theo would also, to make sure, she would use her matter abilities to purify, remove any impurities.
Yeah, melt it down, and doing removing impurities. Yeah, because you could literally just be like, all right, I'm just going to heat this up.
Yeah,
all right, let me just
all you shit that I don't want, get out of here, and it'll just extrude itself from them. Yeah.
Yep. Just
pure silver and pure iron, and yeah.
Are we messing with iron? We're not actually messing
or
with
not
iron. Yeah. Gold, silver,
gold, and mercury.
Yep. So the big shiny things. And then so you'll be working that over course of a couple days. And while we're not going to just like end the episode now, we continue as Theo is working on this, and thinking to. Actually, I think we will jump forward in time, because I have no idea what the other little side stories are going to do. And 5 days from now, things may have drastically changed, so we'll see.
Entirely possible. Yes.
Actually, yeah, let's do this a little bit in reverse. Let's actually say that we've already made those perfected metals, just as natural course of being a matter mage.
And I just want to put in the montage of like Theo stripped down with just an apron, like leather apron, and hammering with a supernal fire as she's forming the metals into the shapes and all that kind of stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
The montage, wiping sweat from her brow, and Bezic in there holding stuff and putting things in the fire.
Yep. So that way we can have putting Catherine to sleep. Nope. Putting her to bed.
Yes.
What a difference. English language. Oh boy. And so we can actually have Theo come down and have materials already ready and be, I know what I'm going to do. And that way we can actually make the thing tonight. A little retcon. And as you work, we were talking about this beforehand of like having a flashback, and I realized actually, it is your domain, and you could meditate. And I really kind of like the idea of
meditating while crafting.
Yeah. Just kind of going through this meditation. And admittedly for us, we would see Theo working, getting this stuff together, and starting to actually...
With a in the zone sort of look in her face.
Right. And then at one point, she just kind of pauses as she drops into her Oneros. None of this stuff is going to hurt, and anything that Bezic comes over and just moves her hands just a little bit out of the way of, because you're good handling dangerous materials, but hot materials are still a problem. And Bezic just gently sets you aside as you have that kind of deep stare into the distance as you drop down into your soul, which it's still. Actually, I think at this point, because you have, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've kind of let your daemon have the run of the place as long as she's behaving. After the last conversation, that's kind of how I felt like we were at, because you were just like, you saw the ziggurat. And it was just like, here, look, and versus what we could actually have, a place with life. And so kind of like, where are we in your own Euros?
I think we're back where her daemon wanted, the necropolis. um, which Theo has come to terms with. Like, this is what she wants too. Part of her, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
She's making moral decisions to not go this way, but she can't deny that she kind of wants this.
Yeah.
But she knows that this is a dead end. This is a cul-de-sac.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't, like, where does this go from here?
I,
So
I'm gonna
that's
jump
my
in. I'm gonna jump in.
sure.
I'm imagining Theo just naturally, because you've done this so much, falling into your own neuros, seeing this and saying that aloud. Because let's be honest, the difference between thinking something in your head and saying it out loud in your own neuros, it's a
Mhm.
very, very thin barrier, right?
Yeah.
And your Damon stepping forth, and she is like, she's especially now, she is a younger version of Theo,
Is the
right?
hot, like, Elvira
Correct.
version.
Exactly. Yeah. Full on, like, the striking looks that Theodosia once had no longer does, but she's still rocking that. She's just like, she is in her power in numerous different ways, physically, supernally, and she steps up and she's like, no, actually it's not. Your little trip with Catherine gave me the idea. And she motions out with her hand, and you watch as the earth turns and twists, and you see this railroad track made of, like, obsidian and
Mhm.
glittering iron, just clean and smooth and clinical, and it looks great in the like everything is dead necromancer kind of way. And she's like, yeah, see, this'll link everything up. People can come and visit and see and beg for our power.
Um, walk with me,
She's
and we're
like,
gonna
just,
head.
she gives you this expression, and like, you can walk, and like, she elevates just a little bit. You look down and watches the stones of the necropolis, the
Sure, just
ziggurat.
carry her around.
Correct. Yeah, she
Sure,
just
she's
right.
just flexing.
She absolutely, like, she's like, you know
Mhm.
what? Look how easy things could be. Just, naturally, the earth beneath me, the stones of the buildings serve me, even as, we also have, skeletons walking in service, ghosts moving about. There definitely has been some change, because it's not this empty place anymore. She's like, oh, no, no, you're right, I do need people. They don't need to be living people. And you can see,
Mhm.
skeletons, you see ghosts, you see some ghosts that are clearly connected and like possessing their skeleton. She's like, she's gone full on, just like necropolis, like, oh no, this is the city of the dead, look at this. Yeah.
Um, so as Theo's walking as she's being carried, um, I haven't explored the Death Arcanum as much as I really want to. You know that.
I do.
And I know you're probably annoyed by that.
A little bit, but, and she kind of motions at the stones and matter moving beneath her.
Mhm.
She's like, this is good. And the things we do with Prime, as she just kind of waves her hand, and because you don't have the mage sight tingliness of Prime magic, just something is going on. She's just manipulating the Oneirus, but you watch as, like, what you just immediately grasp as just coalesced mana, just glowing. She just scoops it out of the air, and it just like dances over her fingers and, wafts it back into the air. She's like, I mean, we have so much other things we can do anyways, so you'll grow into death eventually, and then the others.
Well, that's what I want to talk to you about.
Oh.
We have another throne up there now, I presume, on the ziggurat.
It is there. Have you not seen Catherine? She's around here somewhere.
Well, I know your representation of Catherine. It's not really her, though.
That you
It's
know
what
of.
it's what you want her to be.
It's what you want her to be.
Part of me, but part of me also wants her to be herself.
Oh, sure. I mean, who doesn't want a wife who has the ability to bend time to her will, step back and fix any possible mistakes we make, manipulate our fates into the future, ensuring all our plans come to fruition? No, I've quite grown to like the idea of having Catherine at my side. Oh, actually, no, she says our side.
Hmm. Ah, that's good. Because it's very me and you in the
Mm-hmm.
past, so that's progress. So the reason I haven't put as much energy into death as I would want is because we, both of us, understand transitions. It's those transitions, those state changes, those phase shifts that drive everything forward.
Uh-huh.
And I look around and I see this wonderful necropolis that would be amazing. And that we could sit on our throne and we could rule this place. But what comes after?
Whatever we want.
Look around. Nothing here changes unless we want to.
Exactly. Whatever we
But
want.
but that's not a state change. That's moving the same pieces on a chessboard in different patterns. Nothing's changing. What comes next? What comes after the necropolis? What does the necropolis evolve into? What does the necropolis make space for in the world? I don't know the answer to that. That's why I don't want to go here. I don't know what comes next.
There is this very soft, quiet reply where she says, I don't know what happens after the necropolis either. There's this moment of uh I don't know if it would be humility because I don't think we're there yet for her, but the moment where she admits that like this weakness of like she doesn't know what comes after this, but she knows if she can get this, then the next thing will show up, right? But when you prompt her, she's like, I don't know what we would do after this.
And that's the thing. I see this and I see a terminus.
We
This
could
is
grow
an
it
end,
bigger.
but that's just a bigger chessboard. There's no transition. Once we get to this place, it stops. There's no more growth. There's no change. There's no transition.
There will be new challenges, new interesting things to play with.
There are different moves on a chessboard. What comes after the chessboard?
You keep bringing up no, I actually she says she's like, what is with your obsession with chess recently? I've noticed but and she's deflecting.
Mm-hmm. I can't see, we can't see a path beyond this.
We should talk to Catherine.
I agree with you. But I think before we do that, we have to recognize that this is a dead end. We don't know what comes next. We can't see what goes beyond this, either one of us. So maybe this isn't where we should put our collective efforts.
She kind of nods. She's like, so you actually she says, so what you're saying is that maybe you would be okay with this if we have something beyond it.
You and I have spent a lot of time thinking about this necropolis. And neither one of us can come up with, in all the years that I've been awakened, neither one of us have been able to come up with something past this.
I mean, there's always growth beyond this, and she kind of like motions skyward, and we saw what Rilla can do. That would be the next step then.
Right, but Rilla's path took her, and she saw that path to her golden road. I don't see a golden road here, do you?
She smirks, and you already know what she's going to do, and she just motions with her hand, and one of the roads literally just flips over, and Wizard of
Sure.
Oz gold bricks, right? She's like, we can make a golden road.
Oh, please, you know what I mean.
I do. We can.
There's no supernal ladder here.
We can make one. We can figure it out.
Not
If you
here.
would stop holding back, we would have this.
I want to know what comes next. And neither one of us do. And that tells me that this is not a place that's going to get us where we want to go. There's no travel past this point. If we can't imagine what comes next, then this is a dead end for both of us. So I propose that we sweep this aside as a nice thing that we thought about and might want to take pieces from in the future. But let's bring in Catherine and the two of us, the three of us, figure out
She
what
makes a
comes
face.
next.
She's like, it'll probably be 4 of us.
Probably. But we like her, Damon.
We do like her, Damon. And like her dress for a moment changes into an inappropriate teacher's attire and then quickly changes back.
Let's go arm for a moment. Yeah.
And she's like, she does bring a lot of new things. So yes. Yeah, you should bring her here sometime.
So before I agree to that, can we agree that this is not where we want to end up?
She kind of perks up a little bit and she says, I will agree that this is not where we will end.
Okay. So instead of spending all of our collective efforts fighting one another,
I'm not fighting you, I'm inviting you.
Sure. And I'm resisting for reasons I've already explained. But let's put aside our differences and work towards figuring out where we do want to go, because we can agree that this isn't an end we want. There are things here that we really like, and they fit together nicely into this particular puzzle shape, but this isn't where we really want to go. Can we agree to that?
She nods and like she feels like she's being tricked into something, but she nods slowly. It's like, yes, I agree that this is not the end of our road. This is just the big centerpiece. Also, well, I really love, just it hit me. I was like, Theodosia is straight up gentle parenting her Damon.
So rather than a centerpiece, say, why don't we build a train and have this off to the side like a theme park that we can use for inspiration for where we actually go? So we can go here and we can hang out and we can just absorb the ambiance and really feel at home to recharge our collective batteries, to then come back into what we're actually going to build.
She nods, kind of smiles. She's like, yes, like a chantry, like Rilla had.
That's great.
And she nods, and yeah, you can tell, like, yeah, there's still plenty of work to do with your daemon, but you have kind of diverted this whole single-minded obsession of building this place. Because one of the things, and you've visited here multiple times, it has always been this place, right? It's not like
Mhm.
a variation on a theme. Like the ziggurat's shape and height hasn't changed. The buildings around it haven't changed. So it's not that she's riffing on this idea of how would we do it. Do we want to do the Mesoamerican style step pyramids, or the pyramids of Giza? No, we got this one. That's the one. And yeah, she has not waffled or changed. It's like, oh, now, oh yeah, there are other options out there. Yeah, so you definitely have like kind of nudged. Yeah, I mean, you're still fighting, not necessarily a losing battle, but an ongoing battle. But yeah,
Mhm.
and I feel like Theo feels this little shift, right, mentally, of just like not fighting herself, like not, while you guys are pulling in different directions instead of being pulled in opposite directions, or it's like, okay, we're vaguely moving in the same direction, so we're getting some kind of movement instead of just stuck in a rut, which is really where you'd been dragged for quite some time.
Mhm. Yeah, and that kind of rolls back into like through the time skip and stuff with her loss of her one subject um for her legacy explorations and stuff like that. Like she was really feeling at like an impasse.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So this is like blue sky, green field. Now we can actually work on building something
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to get somewhere.
Put put the Damon's energy to something productive, please. Yeah,
Hmm.
I like that. Do you step back out of your own Neros then?
Um, we've never done this before, but I think Theo's going to offer a hug.
Yeah, it's definitely
It'll be awkward and
yeah. Well, it's definitely
uncomfortable.
hugging a teenager who doesn't want to be hugged but is willing
Hmm.
to let you hug her. And so she stands there. She's got her big black obsidian staff, and she's just like, little pat on your shoulder.
All right. Um, I'll bring Catherine in when there's an appropriate time.
Excellent.
You'll We love her.
We do.
She's not a tool.
No, she's useful and a partner.
She's and a partner, and we love her.
We love her. Like,
Treat her like that.
and
And Theo will like
100%.
shake the cane because she's straight up smacked her in the head with it before.
Well, and,
Well,
and like you're both saying the same word, but you're not saying the same word. Yeah, we love her. Yeah, we love her. And
mhm.
it's just like, we're not quite there yet. But yeah, I mean, it's much better from she's an anchor holding us down. We got to get rid of her. Oh, she's just a mere sleeper. Now it's like, well, she can see into the future. She can see into the past. Yeah, we can keep her around.
That went well, I think.
You say to
And
Besnick.
she's in her neuro, so that would
Yep.
come out as audio. And I think at that point she would say goodbye and head back out.
Yep. Where you kind of just like, you've got that little tingling in your legs of like having your legs kind of locked for a little bit, and just kind
Mhm.
of like this, oh, little wobble, and just little Besnick hand just like on your hip to just stabilize for a sec. And your Lunargent blade, I imagine, is like, it's not cooled because yay, astral speed, but it's
Mhm.
cooling. It's like, oh yes, this is what I was doing. And hammer blow,
Yep.
sweat
And to be
still on
clear,
your.
like Theo doesn't need to be hammering
Mm-mm.
this, but that's sort of the imago of the crafting spell that she's weaving while she's working on it.
Yeah. And I
Mhm.
mean, let's be honest, some of it is, it's kind of fun to swing a hammer and make a thing
Mhm.
move, like when you can just wave your hand. I mean, that's fun too in expedience, but like,
Yeah,
especially
but it
this.
lacks craftsmanship.
Yeah. And let's also like, there's something visually appealing about having some good tool marks on a thing instead of something. Well, actually, I guess back then having machined perfect smoothness probably actually would be a really nice thing to see, as opposed to everything having that kind of beaten blade. But
But there's
yeah.
also the supernal sort of feeling of she's imbuing her love into this item through the work on it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yes. Tell everybody at home. Uh-huh. Oh, you're gonna be quiet
Now it's
now?
quiet.
Uh-huh. You're
So how
purring.
many cats did you end up having, Drew?
We have 3.
3.
Yep. Yep. And this
Plus
is the
the
biggest boy. Ugh.
still have the outdoor one as well?
Outdoor 2. Yes.
2?
Mama
Yeah, yeah.
for these 3 and Max. So I guess you're just gonna hang out here? Okay, well we'll just continue the episode. So yeah, you beat and shape your Lunargent silver blade, affix it to your human femur bone. How bone like do you leave it looking?
I want the grip to be comfortable, but it's going to be
Mm,
fairly obviously to be a bone handle.
gotcha. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I'm comparing to like because you would have like handles that are like antler, right? Which obviously can have some different texture, but so or what's the other one? Horn. So different. Hi, I
Yeah, no,
watched.
nothing like that. It would be, yeah, yeah. It would be work smooth, but like it would be obviously from looking at it be that it's bone. Yeah,
Gotcha. I watched Forged
and
in
then
Fire a couple times, and now I'm just like, oh, I totally know the different materials you would totally use on this. Yeah. So okay, cool. So yeah, she'll pick it up and definitely be like, ah, that's bone. Ah, yeah. And I kind of like the idea of like that's the grip, and it's bone, and it's Moros, and it's Theo, right? I like that a lot. And then the real expensive part,
the Thaumian ring pommel.
yeah, which is uh, kind of slick looking. Excuse you, sir. But we'll get the amp. There we go. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry. So yeah, affixing that all together, which again, like affixing thaumium and bone together, affixing uh Lunargent to bone, would be expert blacksmithing kind of, not necessarily a puzzle, but a thing to do and figure out. But for you, it's just a matter of literally shaping them together, and heck, you could fit them puzzle piece like, right,
Hmm.
on the inside.
Yeah,
Because I don't need to actually see this. Hey, Bone, I need you to kind of shape around on the inside so that there's a space for the Lunargent, and yep, that's not coming out anytime. Not that she's likely to like be using it to, well, she might stab a thing,
yeah, yeah.
but not heavily so.
Yeah, I guess that's true, right? You could literally make this to be one single piece, even with the separate components, right?
I mean,
Not quite, but interlock it in a on a like on a microscopic level.
right. Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, I wasn't thinking that Theo would necessarily go microscopic, but yeah,
Sure, but
that this, very delicate tooled that you couldn't ever make even with modern materials. You can't
mhm,
reshape things on the inside so they're snug.
yeah,
So yeah, I really like the idea of that. And it's one of those things, kind of the craftsman artisan thing of, nobody will ever see this and know this is here, but I'll know it. That'll make me, happy and know that it is secure and safe. Because normally you would have, fasteners and things like that to keep everything snug and tight.
right.
Nope, this just looks like it is a blade that meets a handle that meets ring pommel. Um, that let's see here. Actually, what's the description of it? I can't remember what they describe thaumium as. No, they don't. And since it comes out of a spell, what do you think your thaumium looks like? Because it is a amalgam, excuse me, an alloy. Um, uh,
I think it would be like given that it's basically mercury, silver, and gold. It would be like a white gold sort of look to it, like a pale.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mhm,
because normally orichalcum is very red and warm, and so yeah,
mhm,
adding in the silver, I really like that. Yeah, and white gold seems an acanthus flavor,
mhm.
right? So and then of course that thaumium is juiced up with some death arcana because we do at least have the two dots for it, and matter because just in case something ever relevant comes up that is of that material. And for those who are following along without a bunch of knowledge, thaumium is basically your defend and absorb spells. Well, not absorb, defend against and clash against spells, and then by adding in death, we're protecting against ghosts. And with matter, we're protecting against whatever weird crap shows up that's purely made out of matter but isn't supernal. We don't know what's out there, but just in case.
Yeah, because thaumium on its own protects against supernal magic,
Right. Uh,
but and also throwing in prime to protect against like fallen magic.
I hadn't thought about that, but that might actually be applicable. I don't hate that
Mm,
idea because technically ghosts and what they do are fallen magic, but yeah, at the same time, yeah, if you talk about like a sorcerer
yeah,
performing rites and stuff like that, yeah, which is kind of amusing because thaumium actually requires um, oh, it just requires matter. That's right. Yeah. So adding
mhm.
in prime totally makes sense. Yeah. Okay. I dig that. Um, yeah. So, after the course of, for a blacksmith, this would be a long, arduous day to make a knife like this. But for you, it's a little evening, little uh, exercise, we'll say, um, and get that shaped up and squared away as the sun is well set and we pass into the witching hour,
Mhm.
2 or 3 a.m maybe. Well, actually, heck, if the sun is just set and it's September, I mean, we're probably talking maybe only like 8, 9 o'clock. um Set it to the side to cool.
I mean, I like the synchronicity of having her finish it around midnight.
Sure, naturally, yeah, yeah. I mean, and you've got the timing, and
Hmm.
you have the time, so it's like, okay, I'll just be casual about this and take my time, and make sure it's done, not just magically right, which is just a snap of a finger, but take that, like we've said a couple times, artisan craftsman approach of like, does this feel right? Adjusting the. I even like the idea of like taking it in hand, holding the handle. That's not quite right. Instead of just magically being like, oh, like this, just no tweaking it, you know. And that's where
Hmm.
you get into what is it, the craftsman role, the crafts role, excuse me. Yeah, I like that. Do you plan to present that to her tonight, or is it will be a tomorrow kind
Um,
of thing?
I think I'm gonna save it as a housewarming for her
Oh,
sanctum.
yep. There you go. Potentially setting it up to be her soulstone, which
If she so chooses.
yep. But then she would have to leave it in the domain. Maybe not. Yeah. So yeah, definitely a thing to do. I like that.
Well, it can be a soul stone without a domain.
True enough. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. You would just have to have a other soulstone for a domain. So, but that's fine. She's young. She doesn't need that 10 and 9 dots of gnosis right now. She's got time to grow into that. Cool. Anything else for that evening as the stroke of midnight hits as you finish off polishing the blade?
Yeah, no, I think that's it.
Cool.
Yeah,
You,
she like spent a lot of time on the aesthetics and stuff like that. She
oh
wants
yeah,
it to look
right, exactly.
acanthusy and mhm.
Yeah. Tuck a little note with it. It's like, if you want me to add any little markings on it, let me know. And because I imagine there's like, oh yeah, I could engrave it with prime runes, or and it's like, well, hang on, that's how I would do it. What does she need to
Mhm.
see on her blade to make it hers?
I don't
Uh,
know that Thea would put a note in there. I think that she would
oh, I was
trust,
being
and
metaphorical.
yeah, yeah, she would be trust that Catherine would know that it would be like Thea would love to do that if she wanted any kind of
Yeah,
personalization.
that's true, especially now that you're openly a matter mage to her. There's all sorts of little things in the house that have just become a little bit more ergonomic, a little more comfortable, a little differently shaped. And every people, the sleepers come by and they're like, "Has it always been?"
Mhm. The third stair started squeaking like, yeah,
Yep,
I'll take care of it. Yeah.
yep, yeah. Just lots of these little things that have just slowly become more comfortable. This cat, come on, bud. Uh, and yeah, I like that idea of just finally I can go fix all these little things that
Hmm.
previously would have just been, oh, that's weird, huh, that's weird, and would have prompted discussion. And now it's just like, oh, okay, this is fine. You
Yeah,
can,
and like Theo has enhancements all over the house,
right.
protections and stuff like that. But if there's stuff that Catherine wants
Mm-hmm.
built into the house, Theo could definitely help with that.
Yep.
Hmm.
I like that. So yeah, finish the blade and then head in
Check in
to,
on Velosia should be back by now.
yeah, actually, yeah, I like that idea of uh stepping into the house, peeking into uh probably her bedroom,
Hmm.
because I know most folks in this day and age would probably have uh a shared bedroom with everybody, because we're a little bit early for having everybody having their own rooms, um historically speaking. But I mean, hey, when you build a house and you have a matter mage to help you build the house, adding in a couple extra rooms really isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, and
um
Theo's doing well enough that it wouldn't be like
right, it wouldn't be
unseemly for.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, because a lot of other folks are, I mean, that's it's man, wife, and any of their kids who are under marrying age. So
Mhm.
one bedroom is not a big deal. So yeah, Valosia is home, asleep. She's got a smile on her face. uh you know uh you know Clothes cascaded onto the classically onto the chair, right? It's
Mhm.
like not actually put up or anything like that, just tired, and safely asleep. No, full mom mage mode of like, anything anything going on in here? No. Okay. Yeah, do the little perimeter, go talk to the zombie wolf, be like, and then settle yourself down to sleep beside Catherine.
Wash the sweat off and then, yeah, into bed.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
But that's easy enough with matter. Just be like, repel, or heck, even carefully go down to the Purgatorio, have a quick little rinse. You don't even have to get into the river. You just bring the water up and out.
I think Theo would respect the ritual of bathing. So she probably would just mundanely wash stuff off.
Sure.
There's certainly a time and place for doing repel,
Yeah.
um, but she's earned this sweat, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's true. And so yeah, the
mhm.
wash, and you're entirely correct, because there is that ritual to bathing and stuff like that. It is the yantra and stuff like that. So even doing it, even to not cast a spell, but it's like, yep, this is a familiar thing,
Mhm.
and then lay down to sleep, um, which sets things up quite nicely. And I don't have to worry about where are we 5 days from now when we want to hand off the athame. Um, that's good stuff. I like that. I'm trying to think what I can say about the following morning, because Isabel was singing, Petrichor was escorting the Seers down back to their camp outside.
I
just
mean,
beside, huh?
we could just leave it there if you want until we resolve all of
Oh
that.
yeah, no, I'm just thinking if there's a hook or a cliffhanger I can leave you all with, but no,
Oh, I see.
I need more information to see what the other three get up to.
And
So
I
yeah.
think that's kind of enough of a cliffhanger already, because who knows what's going to happen the rest of that night.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, we have Legbud chasing after the Herald, a Goetia that
Hmm.
left his realm, and everybody going, "Hang on, they did what?" Uh, we have so many little things going on. Hopefully, that will all tie together. Hopefully, very good, awesome. Well, thank you, Craig.
Thank you. That was
Uh,
great.
Of course. And thank you all who joined us. As always, if you want to join us on Discord, that's www.yeetinto.space. Come hang out, chat, talk about Mage, talk about your other TTRPGs that you like. You are welcome to bring them all. Talk about your cats or birds or dogs. Share pictures. Heck, I think we even have a place to share your food. So if it's the holiday season and it's time to show off food, please feel free to. I am currently
Music.
smelling. I'm smelling banana bread over here. So yeah. And then if you want to support us on Patreon, that's www.staylucky.club. Absolutely not necessary. None of us rely on your money. It just goes towards upgrades and fix ups and art, which I've been thinking about commissioning something for maybe Catherine and Jules and some of our
Ooh.
our supporting cast, right? Why don't we have art for
Hmm.
them? So yeah, something that we might do. So yeah. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Everybody.